Okay, we have the green bars, we have the live counters ticking up, so we should now be live, which of course means welcome back to the Storytime Network. We're gonna clean up some more crime scenes.
Cleaning up crime around Gotham. Wait, wrong game.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that game today.
Darn.
Also, technically, we cause more crime, because technically what we're doing isn't legal, but, you know, it's a grey area.
We're not gonna finagle with that whole deal.
Why do you think there's an entire, subgenre of dragons being aroused when stabbed with heavy weapons?
Because for some, there is always this correlation between sexuality and violence.
It'll be a long night.
I was gonna ask, there's a genre focused on that?
This was the moment when Big Jim...
More like a trope than a genre.
So many people...
There's among tropes for dragons, especially for female dragons, because, fuck the patriarchy, wow. Why did I say that?
Because you're a reasonable person. Sometimes, usually.
No, okay, first off, I take offense to that.
You would.
What, that I'm accusing you of being reasonable?
No, that you say I'm only reasonable occasionally. When in fact I'm always reasonable, it is the world that is wrong.
Ah, yes, I see. How could I not realize?
I can see how you ran a cult.
Listen, okay? It was an accident the first time.
The first time?
Listen, it hasn't happened again, but someday.
Yeah.
I need to get my stuff together, but hopefully before I turn 35.
Uh-huh.
Next to cleaner, I should definitely add
Listen.
electrician to my CV.
I have some plans to that effect, but I'll avoid saying them on air for legal reasons.
Yes, for confidentiality's sake, I'm sure.
So yeah, been a while. I am currently experiencing a brief moment of terminal lucidity, so what better way of spending it than on stream? That's not a joke, by the way.
I did ask the question,
For the bodies.
your lucidity is terminal?
Oh, are you not familiar with the term?
Well armed for a worker.
I mean,
Both of us know what lucidity and terminal mean.
Desperate.
on
So
their own,
terminal
certainly.
lucidity... Yeah, so terminal lucidity is the phenomenon... It's basically
Guys.
the last gasp before death, where people appear to, become extremely active and healthy.
Oh, is that the whole thing, where people are, the whole thing of people who were, suicidal suddenly appearing, really,
No, this is specifically referring to, physical ailments, or, injuries, or, terminal illness.
Oh, okay, so,
Where-
a combination of going into shock and, adrenaline, basically.
It's more the adrenaline. It's more that, it's the hyper awareness and sort of, clarity that comes when your body is, going into overdrive just before it shuts down.
Hmm. I see, said the blind man.
Well, you see it in fiction all the time, right?
Yeah. No, the whole thingamadoo of, people, having, getting fatally wounded and just having, a short walk before they die.
That sort of thing, or they give a rousing speech or have, a very calm, collected conversation.
Have to put it all back.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite example of that kind of trope, though not quite an example of the trope, in that they're not fatally wounded beforehand, is in Pirates of the Caribbean, the third one, with Beckett's last moments.
That's again, I wouldn't qualify that as terminal lucidity.
No, I wouldn't either, but it's a similar trope, and I think it's a
Do you know what is terminal lucidity?
Oh?
Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Ah.
Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking
We've all
about.
seen it, right? Have you've seen it, right, Mill?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but you know, someone is like fatally wounded. They get up like they're just fine and like have a conversation, and then they start dying.
Mm-hmm.
That's closer to terminal lucidity. It's a very common phenomenon in hospice care. You see it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not dying.
That's good.
Yeah, I was hoping that was the case, but didn't want to say anything.
No, but like, if you don't use your debilitating mental illness to make morbid jokes, then honestly, you're doing the whole mental illness thing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Are we allowed to say the R word?
Maybe in terms of like medical terminology,
Well, yeah,
like in the
yes,
context of medical terminology, yes.
in the context of medical terminology, yes. But I'm also like, at least myself, I would in the olden days have likely been referred to as that, medically speaking. So I'm like,
Hmm.
is this has there been no movement to reclaim the word?
No, because it's never really been used positively, to my knowledge. It's mostly just been used as an insult.
Mm.
What do you think the criteria are for whether or not a word can be reclaimed?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily positive context like I was implying just a moment ago, but I do think it's like consensus from a large portion of the community to which the term referred.
Yeah.
Like
Do you think
it
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I think it's like not something that can be decided on an individual basis.
Well, I feel like someone has to at least bring it up in the community.
Oh, I don't
Right.
disagree. I'm just saying, like, someone can't just. What's the word for it? Someone can't just, like, unilaterally say,
Somewhere.
oh,
Oh,
yes,
of course.
I am reclaiming this word. I have reclaimed this word. Everyone else, feel free to use this word.
Mm.
Type thing, you know?
Yeah, I get you. Then do you think the transphobic T word could ever be reclaimed?
That's possible, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
I mean, probably not. I mean, I think the other thing that may or may not dictate it is how many other words there are to describe, you know, people of that particular persuasion, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there are plenty of words to describe trans people, plenty of words to describe mentally ill people, that there isn't really a need to reclaim those words.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there's also just the case of it being used in slang. Like, a certain word that none of us have the privilege of saying, or not privilege, but you know what I mean. None of us have the card
don't have
with which to say it.
Yes, none of us have the pass.
None of us have the pass. Like, that word is used all the time by people who have the pass.
And,
But, like-
and by people who don't, to be fair.
Yes, but the people who don't have the pass using that word is very strongly looked down upon to the point of, you know, being a
It's a hate crime.
rationale for ostracization in a lot of communities. You get what I'm saying on that?
Yeah.
No, we know.
But yeah, I don't think there are very, very, very few words that have that kind of connotation to them. No.
Facing the
It does require a
one who shot
certain weight to it,
Mm-hmm.
to the history.
Yeah. Like, I know there are a few other, well, I'll just call it what it is. There are very few other slurs that have such weight of severity to them in English.
was a
And, like,
on purpose.
There's the homophobic one.
the homophobic
That
one.
Yeah.
Most misogynistic slurs don't have that weight unless you're talking, like, the C word in American English.
Why is the C word such a like major
I don't know.
in American?
I think it just has like a different degree of severity attached to it for whatever reason, be it just like context or tone that has gone with it historically, or it could just be a case of like the people who make media avoid using that word over other similarly coded words like one that I actually do use, bitch, which is something that can be used in multiple different contexts. I think is the reason that can work, because to bitch is to complain about something, for example, whereas there's not really a lot of there haven't been a lot of alternate uses of the C word until very recently. You know, like serving, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are
okay.
definitely talking about cunt. I'm just gonna say it.
Yes. I'm not
You're
British
allowed.
human,
You
I
have the
can't
pass.
say it. You have the B pass. Well, I guess it's I don't fucking know. Australians and Brits have and Irish people for that matter, have a very different,
All the English speakers outside of North America, basically.
Trash can
yeah.
first.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be
Like,
fair,
if Fuzzy or I were to say it.
it is probably the one swear word that I do try not to abuse quite as much as the rest.
Yeah. I don't know, there's just some weird severity to it that a lot of people attach that I am not going to try to delve into that too much.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yes. But yeah, it's also one of the 7 words that a certain comedian tagged as words you cannot say on television. And guess what? The other 6 have all been used, well actually all of them have been used on television, usually courtesy of like premium channels. And,
HBO.
you know, stream.
How you've
Yes.
advanced our culture.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the majority of those words were used on, like, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, The Wire, stuff like that.
Well, I know with Game of Thrones you use the C word a lot.
Yeah, but to be fair, most of the characters were, like, British coded.
Oh god.
So it
British
makes
coded.
sense. What other word would I use? They're not
I
actually
don't
British,
know,
because it's...
but it's just
They're
like
Also, literally based on the War of the Roses.
Yeah, British coded. Like, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It's just like just
Less
feels
that you're-
wrong.
it's less that you're not wrong, but it's less that you're right and more that because of Grandpa Tolkien, I think mostly fantasy just translates to British for some reason.
Yeah, it's definitely because of Tolkien, and probably C.S. Lewis as well.
I honestly think Narnia is much less influential than Tolkien.
Oh, it's less influential, but it was still, like... Chronicles of Narnia is still pretty influential compared to a lot of later fantasy.
A textbook safety violation.
Do you think without Narnia we wouldn't have so many isekai?
Narnia is not the OG. There are books that predate it fairly... not too long beforehand, like, you know, Alice in Wonderland, for example.
My brother in Christ, it predates recorded human history.
Yes, exactly. It's in the fucking Odyssey, for Christ's sakes. Though the Odyssey is more of an odd example, because
No,
it's just
no.
visits the underworld.
Yeah, the Odyssey is not. But like, yeah, no. I think really the Celtic mythology is where you get a lot of it.
The Celtic mythology is probably the closest, yeah. In terms of like the codifier for that, you gotta thank Dante.
No, so I don't count Heaven and Hell as isekai.
I see. No, I'm not saying he necessarily like is the reason that is like the whole.
Well, no,
maker
what
of
I'm saying is. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying he codified the trope of isekai being self-insert and wish fulfillment.
Okay, you have a point there.
You were not expecting that take, were you?
No, you're like it's something that it makes perfect sense in hindsight, but it just hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah. No, I was like, you know what? Thinking a little while back, because Dante did come up recently on Discord. I think it was in the TFS server, because Dante is now a Fate boy.
Fate boy or Fate girl?
Boy. Dante is a guy in Fate.
That's such a weird choice.
What, you thought they would try to gender flip / combine him with Beatrice or something?
No, like, so the thing about Fate, right? It's really... Oh god, something just occurred to me, Jack.
What?
I think I had a thought that makes the Fate series even more misogynistic than it already is.
Oh.
What is that?
They tend to avoid gender flipping some of the most powerful characters.
Not really.
They're pissed.
Then explain Gilgamesh and Merlin.
Gilgamesh and Merlin don't really need to be gender flipped. There are several gender flipped characters who are powerful. Most recently, not the Archangel, but the Angel Metatron.
Okay, so that's actually I would not call that a gender flip. Do you know why?
Because angels don't necessarily have genders.
No, because angels throughout history have a very noticeable, statistically significant lean towards being portrayed as female.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, a lot of fictional works throughout history have decided to portray angels as female. For some reason.
Interesting.
Oh, I asked this earlier, but what's your favorite mythological character who was turned into a Fujoshi by a later
Turned into Fujoshi or turned into a woman?
a Fujoshi specifically. I'll start. In Omniscient Reader's viewpoint, the Archangel Uriel is a Fujoshi.
Ah, okay.
Who's constantly shipping the two main characters.
I'd have to look it up because I'm not sure.
So, look, this is just me yelling into the void. Omniscient Reader's point of view
Yes.
is probably one of the best works of metafiction of the 21st century. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's a story that is a story, but also is about stories. And there's a very simple way it does that. It's an all myths are true setting.
Makes sense.
And it gets really into the nitty gritty of like the all myths are true thing.
Fragile content, fragile box.
Which is it's a very interesting sort of deep dive into how important fantasy is or can be to people. While also having the protagonist be a suicidal twunk who is constantly being a source of stress for his found family while he is babysitting a deeply mentally ill edgy protagonist who he has so much sexual tension with that the Archangel Uriel nearly dies of a nosebleed.
Are you describing My Hero?
No.
No, what I'm describing is actually a good story.
Wow.
Yeah, Fuzzy, on your note of gender flipping or powerful figures not being women, like, that's just statistically not true in
I
the
know
Fateverse.
it's not, but it makes me mad because Gilgamesh is like Fate's most specialist boy, and I hate him so much.
Gilgamesh is an asshole, yes. That's kind of the point of the character.
No. You don't understand. I'm not talking about in-universe. I'm talking about
yes.
how much. I'm talking about how much the author and now authors of the series
Glaze
just
him.
love having Gilgamesh being balls deep in them.
I mean, yes, the Gilgamesh glaze is in fact real. You are not wrong there. However, he's not the only character who gets routinely glazed. Let's be real.
No, but he's the most annoying one because he's the one who deserves it the least.
You know what's really interesting is I've seen there's been a fair number of Indian servants in Fates, and the funniest slash most annoying thing is that the majority of female Indian servants, I think there's only 2 or 3 exceptions, have been just pseudo servants, which is just they've been goddesses who incarnated in the body of a human woman to be summoned, and it's invariably a Japanese girl.
Ah, yes, the old yes, right. They do a lot of whitewashing.
Yeah. Though to be fair, most of the Indian servants outside of that are, in fact, given their proper skin tone. I'll post one of them. Bima's the most recent one to come out in the U.S. Bhima being one of the heroes of the Mahabharata.
Yes, I've read the Mahabharata.
Sorry, I didn't pronounce that very well.
Hey, don't worry about it.
But yes, here is a picture in the mobile gaming chat of Chef Bhima.
I have that channel muted, so I have to...
Sorry.
They really went for the purple hair, huh?
Yeah. Duryodhana also has purple hair. Funny enough.
Why do you think they do that in Japan?
Because purple is a cool color, okay?
No. Why do they give purple hair to Indian or Indian-coded characters so often?
I don't know. That is a very good question that I do not have the answer to.
Because, the most prominent example off the top of my head is Yoruichi.
Yes.
Because she's very South Asian-coded in terms of her general aesthetic and just her skin tone and facial features. More South Asian than any other person of color, I would say.
Funny enough, Arjuna doesn't have purple hair, but he does have purple clothing.
Yeah, I guess they just think that the purple goes well with that particular skin tone, maybe?
I mean, it kind of does.
It does, but I don't know how to feel about that. Anyway, to move on to a slightly less dangerous topic.
Like, less dicey, you mean?
Same difference.
Potato, yeah.
What were we on before I made the fate misogyny? Right. Homoerotic subtext. Y'all have to admit that. Yes, go ahead.
Are we ever not on homoerotic subtext?
I mean, it comes up constantly.
Do you know what's really interesting, though? And this is actually something I've been struggling with. I think that, at least in our circle and in the media that we consume in our social sphere, there is such a prevalence of homoerotic subtext that I've kind of forgotten how to write a more platonic relationship between two characters of the same gender.
That is a very fun problem to have, I imagine.
Yeah, because I've got two characters who are both dudes, and they bicker a lot, but it's sibling bickering.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a hard needle to thread.
Yeah, like, they are... Basically, they grew up together, they are, like... They're brothers, not related by blood, it's a found family thing. But it's very difficult to... I mean, there's examples to draw from. For example, the dynamic between Luffy and Usopp.
Yeah.
Is a good example of that. Or, like, most of the dudes on the Straw Hat crew, with the exception of Zoro and Sanji.
Yep.
I mean, the best example is really Zoro and Luffy.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, they are extremely close. It is very obvious how close they are. But it reads as platonic because it is.
Some people
Tell that to all the food
yeah,
ship.
some people would disagree with you about that.
As we have established, I am perfectly reasonable. It's the world who is wrong. But yeah, I think that's become difficult, and just because we are, let's say, not the most... Okay, me and Mill have an excuse. What's your excuse, Jack?
My excuse for what specifically?
So, I don't know how to articulate this, but we're really into the whole queer everything, right?
Yeah.
All of us. But you're the most cishet out of the three of us.
I mean, yes. What's your point?
I guess I'm just curious about, like, how... What you sort of derive from it. Generally speaking, because I know for at least for me personally, the queer characters are very much a relational, representational thing that, if, like, on a personal level. But I don't really know how it is for cishet people, and you're the closest thing I have to a cishet friend, so, you know.
Ouch. Is that like closest thing as in closest thing to a friend, or whatever?
No,
I'm not gonna
closest
delve
thing
into
to...
it.
Do you want to know the
No,
answer,
no.
Jack? I don't think you do.
No, I don't.
Listen, I was
Anyway.
trying to say I don't know that many people who are cishet. Okay? That's
Okay,
all I
that's
was
fair.
trying to say.
That is fair.
You are the most cishet person I know.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Wow, you're just smashing those glasses, Mel.
I don't fucking care.
So yeah, I guess
I just enjoy stories with good, well-written relationships, and I have come to the conclusion of my own accord that a lot of the times, like, relationships between characters of the same sex can be and often are quite satisfying, and like, there should be more of them in media because there's not nearly enough.
I mean, there's a very concrete reason for this.
Yeah.
Because heterosexual relationships are the sort
norm.
of the default, yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to try as hard.
Yeah, oftentimes they're just like paint by numbers, very like boringly written.
Yeah, because people just have so much to draw from, and so much of it has already been done that people kind of just don't need to put in as much effort. It's basically just it's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, because it's the default assumption. So it's like, oh, these two characters of the opposite sex looked at each other 5 minutes. Clearly, they must be in love. And it's like, that's some lazy ass writing, you fucking dips.
Yeah, because everyone just assumes in a piece of fiction, if the characters are heterosexual and there's a man and a woman, just due to story tropes and expectations, people are just like, ah, yes, they must be in love, even if they only met 3 seconds ago.
They made eye contact. They must be close.
Oh, please. Eye contact is not even, like, close to a requirement and these days.
I know. But, I mean, you do get something similar with, like, in, like, some internet spaces, you do get something similar with, certain, audiences and, like, 2 male characters, basically. Like, you get a lot of hardcore yaoi shippers are the ones who are like, yeah, no, like, I see these 2 attractive men and they must fuck, basically, type thing.
I can't disapprove of that.
Look, I don't necessarily disapprove of the attitude. I disapprove of, like, how often how it is applied to in the same way that a lot of the straight stuff gets applied. And it's always 2 men. It's never like 2 women.
Yeah,
At least in the spaces I've seen it happen.
That I will say, because you know, I do like seeing the, for example, the AO3 rap stuff, because you know I do think it's really interesting to see. But the really kind of depressing thing is that a lot of the maybe it's not AO3 wrapped, but like the fucking table of ships that somebody does. I can't remember what the username is.
Is it Tumblr or?
No, it's not Tumblr. I mean, they post it on AO3 to be honest, and then just post it everywhere else after that. But they do like the top 100 ships in a given year on AO3, and the depressing.
And invariably, the majority of them are slash.
Yeah, the majority of them are male slash.
Yes.
That's the depressing thing.
Yeah, like there's very little variation, which like, come on, you can throw some. Like, I mean, even if like het is overrepresented in like mainstream culture, you can toss some het in there. You can toss some fem slash in there. You can toss some poly in there.
I mean,
like
also,
there's nothing stopping you.
Also depressing is the fact that you know there's still quite a few Harry Potter ships up there, but you know that's a whole different conversation.
That is a very different can of worms, which
let's not get into that.
Let's get into if you want, but I don't think that's necessary.
Not. I don't have the. Look. Terminal lucidity is not enough for that.
I mean, let's just sum it up as J.K. Rowling is a bigot. We all agree with Pedro Pascal on that, and we love him for saying it.
Pedro Pascal is so based.
I have kind of made a resolution to never say I love a celebrity.
That is fair.
Look, that's fair. That is reasonable. However, like, we're trying not to be, like, super, whatchamacallit, super, parasocial about it. I just think Pedro Pascal's a cool dude, and what he said regarding, the Turfu tweets is pretty cool.
God, Jack, it sounds like you want to have his babies or something.
God damn it, Mel.
Listen, we haven't gotten into the Mpreg stuff yet.
Oh, boy.
We're getting there.
You know, funny enough, like, I know this may be a bit hypocritical coming from the guy who watched, like, 2 hours worth of Lindsay Ellis talking about Omegaverse, because I thought the whole lawsuit thing was very funny. But, like, I am just continuously baffled by, like, by just how popular Omegaverse is.
They made an anime about it, for God's sake.
I know.
No.
Boring
That's
anime
the
at
thing
that.
really gets- So, okay, that's the thing that really gets me. It's one of the only existing Western originating niche fiction subcultures that has proliferated to other languages.
Huh. I did not know that.
It is incredibly popular in China and Japan.
I have seen that there's apparently
Especially.
Omegaverse Yuri as well, which is very different, I think, from regular from Yaoi based
Also-
Omegaverse.
I've seen I saw a post on this, so I'm just going to steal it shamelessly. Because there's such a cultural divide in terms of Western and Eastern Omegaverse stuff, it's very funny because apparently one of the common plot points in Western Omegaverse is characters who get into trouble because they can't afford the heat suppressant medication.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't come up at all in Eastern Omegaverse because it's just assumed that the medication is provided by, government healthcare.
Gotta fucking love that utter lack of affordable healthcare.
Yeah, like it's so deeply ingrained that even like writers of fiction can't help but think of that as an established fact of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and like, what was interesting about the Lindsay Ellis video in particular, though, was apparently there's there's a whole subgenre of straight Omegaverse that this whole genre was created to be just gay as fuck. Why are you trying to head it up? You know?
Because the
It's just-
hets have to try and het everything up.
Yeah, it's just very inherently silly, I think. Like-
certified.
Okay, that was funny.
I need to
But yeah,
clear that first.
Whatchamacallit? Shit.
I
I don't have an inherent problem necessarily with people using a genre framework for dynamics that weren't originally created for that framework. I just think it's silly that people were not only decide let's make a het version of Omegaverse and let's get really petty and nasty about it and claiming intellectual ownership of that kind of thing. Which was what the Lindsay Ellis videos were about.
I mean, I do have some problems with just Omegaverse inherently.
I don't blame you. It's a pretty odd genre.
So what do you? Okay, why don't you guys guess what my problems with it are, and I'll tell you hot or cold.
I mean, it's the idea
Questionable
that
consents. The
questionable.
questionable consent that often is inherent, baked into the premise.
Warm.
The idea that couples need to have a baby to be happy.
Okay, it's a good point, but it is less warm.
Fair enough.
The frequent romanticization of sexual abuse that frequents the genre.
Warmer. Okay, I'll just say it. It is a genre that is inherently extremely sexual, and I'm not a fan of that.
Also fair.
Ah, yeah, that's fair. Especially if you're anywhere on the ace spectrum.
Let's not get hasty here.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yes, and the Nile is a river in Egypt, Mel.
Look, I'm allowed to like.
Mill is correct. Like, you don't have to be on the ace spectrum to find like things that are incredibly sexual in nature uncomfortable.
I was
And vice versa.
I was going the other way of just because I'm ace doesn't mean I have to find that stuff bad.
Oh yeah, that's also fair.
I'm allowed to like extremely sexual stuff.
Yeah, this is something interesting, and this is something even in the ace community. I've even with other ace people, I've actually kind of struggled with this. People who are ace can also be extremely horny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The two are not mutually exclusive.
True.
But yes, we're getting away from the one comment I had on the top 100 ships in fanfiction.
Uh-huh.
That the most depressing thing about it is that it's a demonstration of how deeply ingrained misogyny is into the culture.
I mean, yes, but that kind of goes without saying.
Well, yeah, but like, just think about it. Even for the same-sex couples, the men are given priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, part of that is due to like the demographics of a lot of fanfic. Most fanfic writers, like, statistically are female or femme presenting or just like some of them are just like straight up teenage girls. But regardless, like the demographics of fanfic sites overwhelmingly lean towards the feminine, at least from what I can tell from the statistics I have seen.
I think it also probably has something to do with the way that the general media landscape is.
There's a much larger abundance of male characters to work with. Like, which is the core of the problem there.
Yes.
Like,
no, absolutely. It is a problem.
if there were more female characters, there would be more ships involving female characters, hopefully, at least. Like, any properties you see that have, like, a predominantly female cast, the majority of those ships that pop up on those sites are going to involve at least, like the top 5-10 ships of those casts are going to have women in them. Not really, like, a hard statistic to support.
Do you know what's really annoying, though?
What?
When there's a story like that, but the greatest traitor is the author who insists that, despite the fact that it's a majority female cast who have great chemistry with each other, they are straight and end up with boring one-dimensional male characters.
Yes, that's annoying.
I recently dropped a story for that reason.
Oh boy, is there anything that we'd be familiar with?
The answer is no, and that makes me sad.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So again, this is a very I think this qualifies as a first world problem. I sometimes get sad that none of you guys read the same stuff as me.
In fairness, Fuzzy, none of
most
us
part.
are able to read as much as you are.
Yeah, but like even the curated stuff.
I still
It's
haven't
just-
watched Trash of the Counts Family.
It's fine. You don't have to. It's more than it's just these are stories that I know you guys would enjoy,
Mm.
but I blame capitalism.
There's no real easy way for us to access those stories legally.
No, for once it's not that. It's more that you guys
Nothing shall get past
are
me.
adults.
And don't have the time, yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the biggest issue, they're not available as audiobooks, really, I think is the thing that I'm realizing is the primary dilemma.
Eh,
Because I feel, because like I don't know, but you do not know how often I come across stories that I think y'all will really, really enjoy, but you just don't have the time.
yeah, it is unfortunate.
But yes, it's also getting into like the really irritating. You know what I need to look into at this point in my life?
Wow.
God, so many of the things that I want to do require money because capitalism is ugh. But I kind of just want to at this point in my life see if I can just hire my own dedicated translation team
Mm.
to translate the really good web novels, because like one of my favorite web novels in recent memory was Dropped, and I'm just like by the translator,
That's unfortunate.
and it frustrates me a lot.
Mm.
You know, Fuzzy, you could be the change you want to see. But I know that's also very unrealistic.
My brother in Christ, I am 28 years old. The Nero is not plastic enough to learn Korean at this point in my life.
No, people can learn languages fairly late in life. It's just the issue is
I can't.
the neuro
Right,
has
everyone has
diverged
different-
too much.
Huh?
The neuro has diverged too much.
It's just one of those things that people's brains are optimized for different things, and mine is just not well built for learning languages.
No, I get it. Mine is the same way.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I don't quite have that problem. When I was taking Japanese, where I dropped Duolingo like a hot fucking rock for the AI shit, I think I was picking it up fairly well. I, had some issues with it here and there, but Japanese is not a difficult language to learn.
Okay.
If you have some foundation for it.
So the thing is, Japanese is a special case
How so?
because anime exists,
Yes.
and we're degenerates. We have,
Those reinforcements.
you know, they say that, like, scientifically speaking, the best way to learn a language is immersion,
Yes.
and we all.
Why?
You just fucking yeeted the dude.
I didn't try to.
Oh, that was so funny.
I wanted to throw him on the conveyor belt so the conveyor belt could yeet him into my car.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, sorry, Fozzie, continue.
I mean, we're just degenerates who have watched so much anime that it's sort of we've absorbed a decent amount of Japanese through osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, in that sense, fucking mental illness does help because, you know, quite often I will fucking repeat back fucking like Japanese phrases that are sad.
Mina.
Especially if they've been said in a funny way.
Yes.
No, Freezer don't know Yamate.
It'll make it up. It'll make it up. And put it on fast enough that it should make it up. Please.
Good job, Sisyphus.
There we go.
Hey.
But yeah, so anyway, I kind of just like, not only is translation, I need to actually sit down and do the math at some point. Because I obviously read the... Now, I will say, I try to avoid aggregator sites when the translator has, like, the translations up on their websites easily available. However, I've recently realized something.
Oh?
Aggregator sites, like with all piracy, are important for a very specific purpose.
Media preservation?
Yes. Because, and this is an extremely unpleasant experience I recently had, two of the major Korean translators that I follow recently dropped a bunch of, like, their stories, and as a result, completely removed the translations from their website.
But it's still up on the aggregator.
Yes. And it's just, it's like... Consuming art has been complicated so much by capitalism.
Yep. Capitalism complicates a lot of things, unfortunately.
But I think this is... So, here's my argument for the continued existence of web novel translators and why it's... Okay, here's my argument for why I believe web novel translators are usually better than scanlators in every way.
Because they don't need to do typesetting?
No, I'm talking about in terms of, like, character. Or perception. I think the reason a lot of people have problems with scanlators, other than, like, their sometimes questionable translation choices, is that manga, at least, has a chance of getting an official English release.
Better than most other print media from from East Asia,
Yes, exactly. For the vast majority of East Asian literature, the chances of getting an official English release are functionally zero. Like, so it's why I've never been a fan of the whole, well, the translators / scanlators are taking money out of the creator's pocket rhetoric. That's a whole different thing. But especially in the case of, like, novel translators, the creator wouldn't have ever gotten anything from a Western release because they wouldn't have gotten a Western release. So that argument really does not hold water.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, oh right, I forgot. I saw the discourse on this in the various channels, and I was just like, do you think that especially in the anime and manga space, but in that general, like, that fandom space in general, do you get the feeling that a lot of the anti-piracy rhetoric is just virtue signaling?
Statistically speaking, at least some of it is.
I feel like a lot of the anti-piracy rhetoric is just virtue signaling. Like I remember someone shared a tweet about that guy who was anti-manga decks, and one of the replacements they suggested was ChatGPT, and I was immediately out.
Yeah, no, anyone who suggests fucking ChatGPT of all things as a
But also,
replacement
just like anyone who says, just go support the official release and like go in its like original language, and just like language should not be a gatekeeper.
No.
Stories are universal. And I hate the fact that language is so often a gatekeeper of those stories.
Hmm.
And we've had this conversation before, but that's why machine translation is one of the few things I
wonder if he told
do believe is necessary, because there just are not enough translators.
But still, this place is bad. Too many people snooping around.
The issue is machine translation is, like, super unreliable by comparison.
Well, no, it's like, so, okay. This is a good conversation this is a good pivot as well. I hate what the tech bros have done to machine learning and the concept of machine learning. I hate that they've turned AI into essentially a slur. Deservingly so, because LLMs like ChatGPT are not good.
Yep.
On many levels.
They're very, very bad, in fact.
I mean, there was that MIT study that came out that showed the people who just used AI to use those LLMs for their thinking literally were losing fucking neural connections in their brain.
Yes. No, that's just that. Just I'm pretty sure that's the point. But like, the problem is that this has created a false dichotomy. In the sense that because LLMs have been in the media and in the zeitgeist and in the propaganda been forcibly equated to AI and machine learning in general, it's created this false dichotomy where if you are anti-LLM, you are expected to be anti every other form of machine learning.
Yeah, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
There is the machine, the AI program with which they analyze cancer cells, for example, which is
The cancer
very
cells,
useful.
the protein, cancer cells, protein folding, particle collider analysis. They use like machine learning for machine learning is not in and of itself evil. LLMs, as they are an evil application of machine learning, but machine learning inherently is not evil. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Mill, your silence is deafening.
No, I agree. I mean, suppose the issue or the point is that because there isn't, this language, purposefully or not, distinguishing between, the good uses and the bad uses, then, I wasn't sure exactly where you were going with machine learning.
Yes, I think that is the point of the propaganda, is to induce that sort of either a knee-jerk reaction or uncertainty and ambiguity. I think that is the point of the propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's what I mean, is like when I was talking about machine translation, yes, it's bad. That's what the machine learning is for. So you can teach it to not be bad. And it frustrates me that there's not more open source packages for personal use. Because you can, even with a decently, even a mid-range modern PC, you can absolutely run a simple machine translation module that does not burn down 6 Amazon rainforests per calculation. It's the corporate focus has always been on the corporate applications, where there are more personal applications that are not as harmful.
Mm.
But yes, because I am broke, but my capacity for computer stuff is in the negative. Right? With money, I'm broke, but at least I'm not in the red.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, technically I am in the red because student loans, but those are not as nearly as predatory in Canada as they are in America, so
I was gonna say, I don't think Canadian student loans are anywhere near as onerous as American student loans.
No, yeah. They're very much. I mean, they're government loans, right? It's a government subsidy essentially.
Yes.
It's the Ontario Student Assistance Program, is what we call it, the OSAP loan. So,
I am so fucking glad I don't have student loans.
Yeah. So I do have student loans, but student loans aside, because they're not predatory and they're manageable, I don't consider that myself as being deep in the red financially, but I am absolutely in the red intellectually.
Please explain. I am curious about that.
I'm just saying that for a lot of subjects I have room temperature IQ, and for a few subjects I have below freezing IQ.
Ah, okay. Cool.
I'm stupid is what I'm trying to say.
Fuzzy, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Intelligence is not uniform across all possible subjects, and it is also not crystalline, that is static, across time. And far too many people assume one or both of those things is in fact true, when it is not.
To be fair, that second one isn't exactly a positive, because that also means it can decrease over time.
That is true, but more often than not, it is due to, degenerative mental illness rather than, actual, decaying intelligence.
I'll also say that it's far better that you acknowledge that you are not, intelligent in certain areas, rather than, people just saying whatever the fuck they want about a subject because they read an article about it and think that makes them, the premier expert on it.
Ah, yes, good old Dunning-Kruger. Everyone's friend, and nobody's.
I mean, oh god, what the fuck was his name? The fuckhead. Jared Kushner, that's it. Jared fucking
God.
Kushner.
Haven't heard that name in a while.
Who thought he was a fucking expert on conflict in the Middle East because he read 25 books about it.
My God.
Like
So,
my
that's an
my
interesting
fucking
example.
my fucking professor, like fucking lecturer for my US and the Middle East module went on a scathing, like 15-minute rant about how fucking moronic he was for that. It was great. I miss him.
It sounds great.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. In the same way that intelligence can vary, the amount of information that needs to be absorbed to form an educated opinion also varies from person to person.
Not to mention, it also varies from subject to subject, because some subjects are a lot deeper than others in terms of, like, necessary knowledge to have, like, an actual, like, understandable opinion on.
There are absolutely subjects that you can have an informed opinion about with minimal study.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree.
For example, racism is bad.
Yes, yes. Now you're beginning to understand social studies.
But anyway, what I was getting at is that while I'm a little bit in the red financially, I am absolutely crimson technologically, and as a result, I think between trying to design my own personal machine learning trained machine translator and just hiring a human being to do it, I might actually have to do the latter.
I mean, yeah, that would make sense both ethically and financially and skill-wise for you, from what you've said.
Financially and skill-wise, yes. I do still have some reservations about it not being ethical. Like, let me put it this way. Let's say you have a single personal use only machine translator that doesn't really take up any more resources than just running your computer or playing a game normally would, that you use to translate a novel that never has a chance of getting an English release. Think that's unethical?
No.
Mill?
Honestly,
Go ahead, Chet.
of all the machine learning stuff that we've discussed of late, I think like machine translation is, at least for personal use, is like the least unethical of the bunch, outside of actual like medicinal use.
Yeah, like outside of the like hardcore scientific research.
Yeah.
In terms of like the personal use ones, I think that's.
Yeah.
I do believe the translation is the most ethical. Mill?
Yeah, I mean at that point, it's my quibbles are more with the quality than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think personally, like it's nowhere near as ethically dubious as most like the LLM stuff or like the fucking image generator shit that has been ever so lovingly coined as AI slop, which A+ naming, no notes. I don't know who coined it, but bless them.
AI slop is a great name. The people who call it AI art should not have eyes.
Or tongues. Or life. I'm sorry, that was a bit extreme.
Yeah, no, like, even for me, you know it's a bit extreme when even I don't go there.
Yes. No, but they should be banned from ever touching technology again.
Or at least, like, talking about art.
Yes. They should have a weird-ass filter placed on their minds that prevents them from perceiving or understanding the concept of art.
I mean, they kind of already do if they consider AI generated images to be art.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good old John Oliver had a segment just this Sunday about AI slop, which, funny enough, was informative as his usual stuff is.
Scrub, scrub, scrub.
But yeah, so actually now you've got me thinking. In the long term, it would probably cost me less to pay a programmer to build me a little, like, machine learning supported machine translator, wouldn't it?
Probably, but at the same time, like, it would probably also be like... You gotta remember, Fuzzy, like, I'm pretty sure as much as AI is a thing that's here to stay, it's also probably going to become ruinously expensive because it is still a loss leader for basically all companies who use it. And...
Well, no. So I would obviously, if I did hire someone to make something like that, it would be a freelancer, obviously. But it's more I think it's a short-term versus long-term thing, especially given how much I read. It would be a much higher upfront cost, but eventually it would cost much less than hiring a dedicated translation team.
Yeah. I will say, though, again, like, not in terms of you, but, like, in terms of, in general, I do think that this, like, AI, like, LLMs and image generators and shit, that is going to remain a loss leader for companies, and is probably never going to be financially viable for as long as it's actually, like, a big thing. Because eventually companies are going to get tired of it, and they're going to realize, like, wait, no, this isn't turning a profit the way we want it to. Not to mention all the lawsuits that have actually started kicking in. Most notably, Disney and Universal deciding to sue Midjourney's ass.
Now that Disney's thrown their hat into the ring, they actually have to...
I can't believe I'm rooting for fucking Disney. God damn it.
All I'm saying is that it's depressing how much that one
It won't move like this.
GIF has got, how much mileage that one GIF has gotten.
Why are you pronouncing it GIF? It's GIF.
Is it? Listen. I'll tell you a story about a giraffe later, but
it stands for graphics like, the whole thing is an acronym. It has a hard G. The first letter has a hard G.
So they're not coming to mind right now, but because the English language is stupid, I guarantee you there exist acronyms that are perfect counterexamples to that.
There might be, but I still hold that GIF is correct and GIF is the name of a peanut butter brand.
It can be two things. Anyway, the thing about, like... And I think this is the other thing that LLMs have ruined for everyone. For this hypothetical machine translation software, it would require a lot of manual training and tuning. I would still have to put a lot of work in. I'm willing to put the work in, but it's not like I'd be content with just, like... If I was content with that, I'd just toss it into Google Translate, right? Like...
Oh god, Google Translate. Yeah.
I will say Google Translate has gotten really... It's improved by leaps and bounds.
Oh, over the years, absolutely. The issue is if Google puts too much of its AI bullshit into Google Translate, it will immediately tank the quality. Oh
Yes
my god,
and
there's
no.
an entire Wikipedia article on the pronunciation of GIF.
Today is my turn.
Of course there is.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Oh god, it's actually a few thousand words long.
But yes, the other advantage to having a machine translator as opposed to a living, breathing human translator, other than cost, a lot less judgment. Because I'm gonna be real with you, there are some stories that I like that are worthy of judging me for, let's say. And not even in like the sexual or smut way. They're just like a bit weird.
Fuzzy, I'm going to be 110% real with you. Like, contractors of all sorts are like, especially ones who work in work like creatively, are going to be a lot less judgmental than you are giving them discredit for.
No, I know that. It's not about the reality of the situation. It's about the anxiety.
Ah, yes.
This is not a
Anxiety, one of the
problem.
many
This is a
enemies
me
of
problem.
rationality and logic.
Yes, this is not a them problem. This is a me problem.
Oof.
But yes, like I know they would probably be too tired or bored to actually waste energy judging me.
Now I'm
But
certain
I
that
have
I'm
mental
responsible
illness.
for Tammy's disappearance.
Mhm.
Every day that I work for this scumbag makes me sick to my stomach. But I have to endure it for now. That arrogant piece of trash promoted me, so...
But yes,
on some level, he's weak and won't see
I've been reading a lot of Yuri recently.
As have I, partially because I just did a manga sample with Laura just the other day.
Their leader
I will
wanted
say,
revenge for murdering his daughter. You've made yourself some enemies.
It's
person treat him well. And look what
interesting reading a lot of East Asian Yuri.
evidence in the office before you go. I need to take a closer look at it myself.
And I think Yuri, there's another reason that I've been really into Yuri recently.
Oh?
It's again I blame the patriarchy, and I've expressed this before. I like reading stories about small and cute protagonists who do badass things, regardless of gender.
And unfortunately, that's not as common with male protagonists as it is with female protagonists. Is that right?
Exactly. Instead, when you have male protagonists, you get 15-year-olds who are apparently 6 feet tall and shredded.
Built like a brick shit house, yes.
Yes. And I just like,
Sweeping everything
what is attractive about
that?
that?
So far, Jimmy.
You'd
I
be
can't-
surprised what some people think.
But yeah, I'm just like, I'm not into it, and
So,
what I've
it's
realized
not your
is that
first time.
with a lot of the Yuri stories, they do often have protagonists who are small and cute and do badass things.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you move somewhere else.
There is one Yuri series that won't fulfill that, but that's because all the women in it are buff and big as hell.
That he actually
That's fine. Listen, I am a person of culture. Okay?
Okay, so you would enjoy a bunch of big, beefy ladies beating the shit out of monsters.
Yes. Absolutely.
You want the name of the manga or not?
Listen, just slide me a DM real quick. But
It's not a very long one, unfortunately, is the one downside.
but anyway, but yes, I tend to prefer small and cute protagonists who are generally paired up with extremely, like, tall, buff women.
Ah, God, I wish that was more common in media. That'd be fucking great.
Oh, did I have the manga for you before fucking Shonen Jump killed it?
Was that... Which one? Red Hood?
Multiple apparently then. Red Hood, Fabricant 100. There's a new one that's just started that would probably apply.
Is the new one by the same author as Red Hood also one that qualifies?
No.
Ah, okay.
Not
Are
yet.
there still big buff women in it?
Yes.
Sold.
But yeah, it's a part of why I enjoyed Ass Class so much, and it also was a major turnoff for me in MHA.
What, because Deku got shredded?
I really wish he hadn't gotten so jacked.
Have you considered checking out The Elusive Samurai?
I did, and it was a bit too dark for my taste.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah, no, like... God, that author has such a weird track record.
He really does.
Ass Class, Elusive Samurai, and F-Ken.
There's one more serialized manga that the author did, but I know very little about it beyond the fact that Elusive Samurai only just recently surpassed in chapter count.
Yeah, Neuro something.
Was that him?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe so. Yes.
Huh.
He had a chapter cover recently where he showed Elusive Samurai's protagonist about to reach the chapter count of that other protagonist, and Koro Sensei was standing just a few steps down because Ass Class ended before either them in terms of chapter counts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have currently in my... And you all know how much I read.
An obscene amount that none of us could ever hope to replicate.
It's actually pathological at this point.
I was able to replicate it in at my peak, but yeah, no, in general, no.
I don't think I will ever be able to replicate it outside of like the odd bursts of reading volume I get whenever I'm like reading a Dresden book or a Sanderson book.
But I have found, I think, a total of 3 well-written action fantasy stories that feature a small, cute male protagonist.
God damn.
3 out of literally hundreds. Like, hundreds, maybe even in the 4 digits. I found 3. And it drives me up the wall.
Bah.
Understandable, honestly.
I mean, me personally, and this is, this is not a shot at you, Fuzzy. This is just, I honestly don't know any other way to word it, but me personally, I consider Izuku small and cute enough for my purposes.
You're into
liking
twonk.
that. I mean...
Ah, yes, twunks. Definitely the midpoint between twinks and hunks.
It probably helps that a lot of the, media that I read about Izuku is in, text format rather than comic format, and so
That is a fair point.
I get to imagine whatever the fuck I want.
The imagination is a powerful thing.
God, I wish we lived in the timeline where we got femboy Midoriya canonically in the manga and anime.
A lot of platforming on this one, hey Mill?
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah.
it is unfortunate that that the Midoriya of your dreams, it will never be as he could have been.
Will only ever be in my dreams, yes.
Okay.
But yes, do you know what unhinged thought I had recently? I mentioned this in the reading and writing chat. I dropped a series that checked every single one of my boxes. A series that seemed like it was made for me.
It was my home. It was made for me. Sorry.
Because the 15-year-old protagonist was 6 feet tall and incredibly jacked. And I'm just like, just kill me at that point. You gave me hope. The first 10 chapters gave me hope, and then we got the proper description, and I'm just like, just kill me. And do you know what unhinged thought I had? Hiring an editor or ghostwriter to literally just go in and change all references to the protagonist's height and size to make him small and cute.
That would be slightly unhinged, yeah.
Yep. A completely unrelated meme that I just pinged you guys about.
You realize the moment I have disposable income, I am going to do that, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, there's other things you can do with your disposable income in the future, Fuzzy. You know that, right?
Yeah, but there's nothing productive I can do with my disposable income in the future other than that.
Mm-hmm. Also, please check the memes channel.
I did. Believe me, I am aware.
Give me a second.
You're checking now.
Yeah.
I read far too much Junji Ito at far too young an age.
You say that is a bad thing.
Also, why do not more people not talk about the fact that that one fancy filmmaker ripped off a Junji Ito manga?
Which one? You'll have to be specific.
Melancholia is just a worse Hellstar Rabina.
I know nothing about Melancholia. I do know a little bit about Remina, though.
Is that Lars von Trier?
I don't know much about Lars von Trier, actually.
He's
I'm just
the
looking at Melancholia right now.
He did Melancholia and Nymphomaniac, I think.
The only one I know Lars von Trier from, I think, is Antichrist.
Yes, that is. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But yes, Melancholia is just a ripoff of Hellstar Remina in many ways.
Yeah, the only other film I recognize is yeah, no, I don't recognize any of the others. Lars von Trier, I think, is one of those filmmakers that's just a little bit obtuse for my taste.
Yes. Oh no, he's absolutely an artist who I can
Yeah.
understand why people think he's cool, but I think he's lame. But yeah, where were we before? Yes, so
No, I signed up for this.
I think y'all sometimes forget
And yet
just
no
how
message has.
mentally ill I am because I present such a normal front.
Sure, let's go with normal.
Look, I wasn't gonna say it. That would be mean.
Listen, that was exactly what I was looking for. That's what I'm trying to express. What I show y'all is already the least unhinged I can be. So, you know,
Yeah.
I
Also,
absolutely...
I looked up a plot synopsis of Melancholia. It's not 100% a ripoff of Remina, just because, you know, the ending is a tad different. But yeah.
I mean, you've also got fucking wasn't I think it was Inception, like the concept was pretty much taken from a fucking what was it taken from? Paprika? I want to say.
One of them is dead. And
They have similar bases on Dreams, but Inception has a different narrative thrust than Paprika. I've seen both films.
Can we talk about something less scary? It's dark and I'm scared.
You don't like Paprika?
Has an effective
Or
pop
Inception?
No, just I can't stop thinking about, like, Junji Ito stuff and I'm getting scared, so please.
So, we've had this discussion before on the server, but Mill, I want to hear you weigh in more detail.
Okay.
Which is your preference? Doom Fury or Toxic Fury?
Toxic, because at least it might get better.
I knew it. Me and Mill are in agreement. Tragedy is the worst genre.
Tragedy is not the worst genre.
Tragedy is not the worst genre because, you know, isekai. But
There are other bad genres.
Okay. So, we're talking about meta genres, not... Okay, we need to... This is a topic of conversation. There is a sort of
to death.
taxonomy of genre
Self-defense.
that not enough people talk about.
So, the genres are broadly broken up into literary, film and television, video game, and music.
No. That's not
What's your-
even what I mean.
Okay.
I mean, there are I'm talking like Kingdom Phylum class order, that sort of taxonomy.
Okay, so, well,
Underestimate dad's strength.
like, so we do have, like, the broad ones, like action, adventure, comedy,
that's
thriller,
what I mean.
fantasy, crime.
Those would be the top level ones. Yes.
There's historical, horror, romance, satire, sci-fi.
I would even say I would say
tragedy and
sci-fi and
isekai.
fantasy both fall under the spec
I
fic.
wrote him a lot
Yeah.
of money.
I'd say
Amazing.
tragedy actually is a subgenre of drama.
Murder weapon.
So I would say an argument could be made either way,
Incriminating.
or you could say that drama, something like drama or comedy, are even higher genres, like in the
I'd
taxonomy.
say drama and comedy are tone signifiers more than anything else. But you
Yes,
also have
okay.
the genre signifier of comedy, which is a different thing.
Well, yeah, you have like Felis catus, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
cats are all Felis are cats, but there's also domestic cats which are also cats. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I would say it would go something like tone, archetype,
The hell
genre,
up there.
subgenre.
What would you say are the archetypes then?
you know, things like tragedy or romance or things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Like the main narrative thrust, then.
Essentially, yeah.
So you got your tone, you got your narrative structure, you got your genre. I would say genre actually precedes narrative structure. Because...
No,
Mm.
I would disagree. Because you can have a tragedy in any number of genres.
The
Right, that's
narrative
what I'm-
structure isn't the right word for it.
Yeah, that you see, that's why I use the word archetype. I can't think of a good word for it, but you know what I'm trying to like say, right? When I describe that.
Perhaps trajectory might be the better way to put it.
Yeah, that could also be, but basically, yes. What I'm trying to say is like drama or comedy, or drama or humor, or okay. The best example I can think of for the top level is drama. We'd have to like think a bit more about the other ones, but drama would be tone, then tragedy would be the second order, and then I would say like, for example,
So there's tragic romance, there's tragic, like, historical tragedy, there's,
tragic fantasy, yeah, that all that sort of thing. And then you have the subgenres of like Yuri, Isekai, that sort of thing.
mhm. Yeah, so, hell, even Wikipedia says that tragedy is a genre of drama, based on human suffering and mainly the terrible or sorrowful events that befall a main character or cast of characters. Traditionally, the intention of tragedy is to invoke an accompanying catharsis or pain that awakens pleasure for the audience.
And yet you have... Even Wikipedia agrees that it's masochism.
Fuzzy, that's incredibly reductive, and I detest that.
Deriving pain from pleasure! It's right there! Or, well, deriving pleasure from pain.
Be over.
Fuzzy, masochism specifically has a sexual component. Catharsis does not.
Seems like our guy
Oh, is
had
that... Okay,
another hobby.
that's your issue.
Yeah, that's why I said you're being reductive.
No, this is just a definitional issue, because for me, masochism is not inherently or necessarily sexual.
That's what the definition of masochism is!
Keys.
I'm having
Okay,
a
so
wonderful
I-
journey through linguistics here.
So,
Fuzzy, if
This
you were to
is
look
one-
up masochism in a dictionary,
Yeah, I was
here is my counterpoint.
Now I'm dragging a dead girl to my car,
Massacre games.
but I have other people to look out for.
okay, but that's just like you catharting all over the screen from how much enjoyment you're getting out of that, out of your pain. It's not.
Yes,
there's
exactly.
not an inherent sexual component to it necessarily.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Masochism is not even the right word. I have a super category that I classified masochism wrongly. That's on me. But for me, any act of deriving pleasure from pain is that. It doesn't have to be sexual for me, personally.
Things change. for
I
better
just
really
define
fast, too. Absolutely.
any act of deriving pleasure from pain as in the same large bucket, and then there are smaller buckets within the large bucket, one of which is sexual.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying, Jack, is that people who enjoy tragedy are deeply related to people
Luck.
who enjoy
And
playing I
have
Want to
to
Be the
come
Guy.
up For a serial killer. That's very
I mean, maybe, kinda, if you really want to stretch it.
damn.
It's a different
Just as stupid.
appeal, because one is the appeal of being able to basically just throw yourself at something over and over again until you finally succeed. And the other is being able to derive joy from, well, not necessarily joy, but an enjoyable experience from something that is on the surface a miserable time, but does have the potential to, show deeper understanding and or truth of reality. Because, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, tragedy can and has been executed very, 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 very badly.
I'm not even talking about execution. I'm just trying to say that there's no difference between catharsis and post-nut clarity.
I disagree for a number of reasons, not least of which is, the physiological aspect of that, but whatever.
What, you're not ejaculating the tragedy, Jack? I can't believe you.
No! Why would I?
Isn't everybody?
Already in knots.
No. What is wrong with you, man?
I am so happy that I'm not outnumbered for once
I mean,
on a topic. It's very rare for me.
I'm just being a shit. I'm not even getting involved in it.
Yeah, Mill is
But
taking
you
a
also
neutral
dislike
stance here.
tragedy, Mel.
My opinion on tragedy is that I think it has to be very well done to actually work. And
I don't necessarily disagree. Like,
and that, to be honest, a lot of fucking series are just there are series that are sort of just too long to properly pull it off, and as a result just sort of get into a spiral of bad thing happens, bad thing happens, bad thing happens.
there's also just a case to be made for, like, a lot of people are all too willing to assume / act as though tragedy is inherently a superior genre to anything more lighthearted, which not true, very much not true. But also just like there's the whole thing of like, because people make that assumption or act that way, some people are like, because I think tragedy is inherently superior to other forms of media, I am going to do this. I'm going to make my story end tragically, even though it doesn't fit necessarily.
Hi, Aka.
You can just say you can just say his name.
Aka's not the only example of this, just the most recent one.
That's a strangely.
God, the more I think about it, the more I feel like Kaguya was the exception, not the rule with that dude.
By all indications, yes. Kaguya is the only one of Akasaka Aka's manga that ended well.
I was
trying-
really not a fan of a lot of like the directions that he decided to take the plot at the end. But
I don't blame you. Like, the latter half of Kaguya has a lot of issues.
it was tonal whiplash.
Weird
Mhm.
feeling about this place.
You can't have 3/4 of a series
These doors won't open
be
themselves.
extremely comedic and lighthearted, and then do what you did in the final arc.
Hmm.
It just, the tonal whiplash is neck breaking.
Yeah.
That guy who killed you. Yeah, he'll be in the body bag right next.
But
to
yes,
yours. Sorry.
I get where you're coming from, Jack, and I know that you are explaining why a lot of people dislike tragedy. What I'm trying to tell you is that that's not why I dislike tragedy.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind that you dislike tragedy, Fuzzy. I just mind that you, like,
Mischaracterizing why you like tragedy.
yeah.
I still think there's parallels to be made between emotional catharsis from tragedy and masochistic post-nut clarity. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm not saying that there is anything sexual about it. I'm just saying that in terms of narrative structure, they are similar.
Time for a bag swap.
Mm. Regardless, it's very interesting to see, like, the different subgenres of fantasy and how they compare and contrast with one another.
Oh boy, there are so many different fucking subgenres of fantasy. I had to investigate that for my master's dissertation. Jesus Christ.
I love that urban fantasy is technically a subgenre of another kind of fantasy.
Yeah. They're all fucking intersectional.
Is it still me behind the wheel?
It's
They
wild.
all fucking overlap with each other. It's stupid. And frustrating.
That seems more like, at that point, that's more of a linguistic or definitional issue than anything else.
No, Fuzzy, you don't understand. There is like 20 odd, like almost 20 or so, like, hold on, let me count the number.
Alright, I'm just going to put the Be Right Back screen up, and then I'm going to... Where is... Master's dissertation? Gonna bring that
But yeah,
over.
26 just on the genres, main genres page of Wikipedia. There are 26 listed subgenres of fantasy. That's just like notable ones.
but like seriously, why are coffee shop AUs so popular?
Because I love them.
Because coffee shop AUs are cozy. And people like cozy.
Okay, so a quote from a guy called Stefan Ekman. Urban fantasy, its root genres are not only fantasy, but gothic horror and romance. It can also draw on mystery, science fiction, and crime fiction. Like, fucking what?
The point being that genre is in fact quite incestuous.
I'm fairly sure the man wrote, like, fucking... I'm assuming he's a man. The person wrote fucking an entire, like, 17-page article about how to fucking define urban fantasy compared to other forms of fantasy.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And I had to read it
Yeah.
and understand it, and then fucking, you know, pick out aspects of it to use in my fucking dissertation.
How'd that make you feel, Mill?
I mean, to be honest, that part of my dissertation, the actual essay part of my dissertation, I was fucking, like, just... I did that shit in, like, 3 or 4 days. Like, barely
I've
sleeping.
got dissertations took so long.
So, my fucking master's dissertation was 20,000 words, 15,000 of which was, fucking, whatchamacallit, the creative aspect of it, and then the 5,000, was split into, fucking, themes, genre, and the creative process. The creative
I'm trying to remember...
The creative process
sorry.
bit was just me fucking rambling on about how I fucking wrote the creative portion. Themes and genre was a lot more difficult.
I'm trying to remember what the longest essay I wrote was. I think it came in at like 10,000 words or something like that.
That was my
So
undergrad dissertation.
That sounds about right.
My undergrad dissertation took me a lot longer because that was all academic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't
Meanwhile-
think I've done. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, like, most of my, like, first, second year of college, most of our essays were, like, 5-6 pages tops, double space, all that shit, and you just, like, bullshit about a third of the paper.
Oh, I mean,
If
I
that-
bullshitted quite a bit of my fucking both of my dissertations, honestly.
So, funny thing about that, actually, being able to bullshit and still come out with a good paper is, in fact, a skill you can develop.
I
and should
develop.
I definitely developed that.
I will say, I envy that because I have tried to develop that skill, and it just has not worked.
You want to know
I've
where You want to know where I first started developing that at a uni level? It would be the essay that I had to write, that I was still writing, like a day or two, if not the night before I had an exam, and an essay that I had maybe 3 or 4 sources on, and I still managed to get a 2-1 on that shit. I have no idea how, because that was dog shit.
Yeah,
so
no.
Go ahead, Jack.
So no, we keep interrupting you, Fuzzy. Say your bit first.
Well, I'm just like, the longest essay I've ever written, I think, doesn't come out at more than like 2,000 words. Because they're all course papers. I haven't had to do a dissertation yet, and I have never gotten more than like an 80-ish on a paper, and it saddens me. Like, I literally will try my hardest, pour my heart and soul into it, just like do everything I can, and still an 80.
You want
That
to
is
know?
unfortunate.
You want to know the fuck thing? Is Fuzzy? I've never gotten above an 80 either, and yet I got firsts because that's the way the fucking UK marking system works, or at least the English marking system works.
Who's not working for us?
Yeah, it's a lot
70
better.
70 and above is a fucking first, aka the highest grade.
Yeah, so in Canada, and this is actually something that's different from the US even. In Canada, anything above a 50 is a pass.
Oh, okay.
I believe the cutoff. Yeah, the cutoff is 60 in the US, I believe.
So it depends.
Percentage.
So you're considered to have passed a class if you got a C minus, which is a flat 70%.
Wow.
That's not uniform. So that's considered a C minus is considered like the lowest passing grade for the overall course, but like individual tests and papers can vary wildly depending on what the grading rubric is, and also like if things are graded on a curve. So like you can get like a shit score, but if the curve is strong enough, like everyone gets a shit score on something, then it doesn't matter that you got a shit score. You're curved such that it balances out.
Yes, I know how grading on a curve works. But we usually don't grade on a curve here, and a 50 is a pass for the course overall.
Makes sense.
Yeah, as long as you get over 50%, you pass the course. And I believe an 80 is an A. 80 and above is A. 90 and above is A+. I have gotten decent grades in courses, but papers I cannot push it past 80, no matter how hard I try.
So how the UK works, 70% and above is first, again the highest, 60 to 69, nice, 2-1, 50 to 59, 2-2, 40 to 49, third, and then 40 and below is a fail.
Damn.
Yeah, it's like...
You will certainly... this is just how my course worked. This is obviously not representative of how all courses work, because there are obviously fucking science courses that will be graded significantly differently, or assessed significantly differently than my history course. But we effectively had 2 pieces of assessed work per module, and our overall grade for the module would be an average of the 2 scores. Depending on how, because sometimes you'll have assessment stuff that is weighted differently. So, for example, one module I might have had a series of 3 10-question like multiple choice things, but they'll only be weighted like 30%, whereas the essay or exam at the end of the module will be weighted 70%. So if you do better on that, then the average will be higher.
Mm.
Yeah, here generally the most common is 2 exams that are mostly multiple choice with maybe a few short answer questions and a paper that
So-
are worth 30% each, and then 10% for miscellaneous stuff like attendance or participation, or maybe like a short project in the middle.
So it really varies from class to class here in the U.S. Like, some of them are like a case of, oh yes, you are graded based off of a set amount of homework, 3 exams, 2 midterms, and a final, plus an essay or something like that. Others are like, your whole grade depends on you attending class plus a final essay at the end, or some shit like that. It varies wildly between extremes.
Yeah, it also varies from professor to professor here, but the overall structure generally does remain the same.
Sounds about right.
But yes, I've also learned, Jack, the field that I've been thinking about a lot in psychology does exist. That's what my summer course is.
Oh, what is it?
Cyber-psychology.
Cyber psychology. Interesting.
It's the psychology. It's essentially the psychology of like online spaces and how they affect people. Stuff like parasocial relationships in online spaces. The
That is
socialization.
interesting.
I actually came up with a very depressing analogy. In class. I didn't say it, but I probably will when it comes up in socialization, because I'm that a-hole in class who raises their hand and says things. But I sometimes feel like socializing online, in terms of how it relates to the human brain and its needs, is kind of like trying to treat hypoglycemia with aspartame.
All right, you're gonna have to understand that. You have to explain that comparison for me to understand.
Hypoglycemia is low blood sugar. Aspartame is artificial sweetener that doesn't actually have calories.
I only needed the aspartame, but thank you.
Oh, okay.
I assume it's something that's common in Canada.
Aspartame is the commercial artificial sweetener.
Yeah. Even more of those, like, especially replace corn syrup.
No, I mean, even like in the UK, I'm pretty sure most diet drinks use aspartame.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
probably just don't say it like that, though, because we're all dumb and wouldn't understand it.
But yeah, I will say, whoever formulated the new Coke Zero needs, like, all of the money. Like, give them a pension for life. Because the new Coke Zero actually slaps. Like, it's so good. And I feel like there was some under-the-table dealings going on, because Dr. Pepper Zero is even better. Really, no other diet soda enjoyers in the chat.
I just don't drink soda anymore.
No, neither do I. I've never drunk it. I hate it.
I don't hate soda, but like, it's just not something I drink regularly. I only really drink it if it's like provided as something that that is both available and just like, yeah.
I just don't like carbonated stuff at all.
See, I like sparkling water, for example.
Ooh, la-di-da. You sparkle your water.
No, I don't just drink sparkling water. I drink regular water too.
Look at you!
I just like drinking.
Look at you trying to come off as an everyman.
Okay, fuck you.
No, but like, I cannot. I personally cannot survive without diet soda, and that's the beautiful thing about diet soda. On
Oh, yeah.
the list, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but out of curiosity, would you define so a beverage is defined as any drink that is not water. Would you define sparkling water as a beverage?
No, because it's not drinkable.
I would say it depends on the context in which you are consuming the sparkling water.
I see, I see.
I think if you just prefer sparkling water and as a result just have it as a replacement for water in general, it's not a beverage. But if you enjoy it for the fact that it is different from water, it's a beverage.
He's a criminal now.
Okay.
Still a good boy.
Yeah, I enjoy it because it's different.
Yes, if it's a water equivalent, it's then it's not a it's an attitude issue, I think. It's about what the sparkling means to you, Jack.
It's about how I'm just sparkling deep inside, man.
No, but like I cannot survive without diet soda, and the beautiful thing about diet soda is that, like everything, it will kill you. But it is so much further down the list of things that will eventually kill you that I have no guilt consuming diet soda. Because let's be real, processed foods, air pollution, microplastics, those things are going to kill you long before the aspartame does.
Mm-hmm. Not wrong.
Which is why I'm like, there's no way, like, cutting out diet soda will not make a meaningful difference in my lifespan. And as a result, I will chug it like it's free.
Chug it like it's hot. Chug it like it's hot. Except don't chug hot beverages. That's a bad idea.
I wouldn't know because I have some degree of sanity. Well, not sanity, but I have logic.
I once tried to drink hot tea through one of those tiny sip straws, and I regretted it very deeply. I think I was like 12 at the time, though. At the oldest.
I'm a little baby and I can't drink things that are too hot.
I mean, I don't like drinking things that are too hot either, personally. So, can't blame you. You're in my camp here.
You know what? That does bring something interesting up for me. The tongue can't develop calluses. So why can people gain a resistance to drinking like very hot beverages?
That is a good question.
And that will have to be answered next stream because we have hit 2 hours.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So, thank you everybody for watching and listening along to us chucklefucks talking about whatever pops into our minds. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if not, then, thank you for hate watching the entire way through.
Why would you do that, though?
If you want to hate watch more of our streams, as always, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, all around the same time. 11 p.m. British time, whatever the fuck you Americans and Canadians are on. Your stupid and wrong time zones. Just adapt to the British time. Come on.
No.
Boo. Anyway, please do give us a follow here on Twitch and all that YouTube stuff.
Subscribe, leave a comment down below. Damn it!
And
Not again.
Yeah, we always do it, but yes, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, hit the bell icon, if you enjoyed the video.
And otherwise, hopefully we'll see you on Thursday for whatever it is we end up doing then. Good night.